Gamers, we've done a lot of crazy tier lists on this channel. We've done things from champions I could destroy in a fight to toxic champion tier list and every single thing in between. But today, we're doing the saddest League of Legends tier list we've ever done in our entire lives. That's right. We are doing the Forgotten Champion tier list. We are going to go through every champion that has a low play rate or was just underwhelming on release, and we are going to organize them to see which one was the most forgotten. It's going to be hard, it's going to be tough, and if you see your main on here, I apologize, but Riot just doesn't like you. Let's begin. But before we continue the video, did you know that the majority of the people watching this video aren't subscribed? If you subscribe, you'll really help the channel out. On top of that, it's daily December. Why not give a gift to me while I gift you all of the best content in the world? At least I think it's good, and if you don't, I'm sorry. I don't know where I was going with that, guys. Let's jump into the video. Look at chat. They're saying subscribe. So do it. And this was also streamed live on twitch.tv/Scooch. It's not Scooch Live anymore. It's just Scooch. How cool is that? Gamers, okay, before we even get into it, I want to let you guys know that I've actually done some research here, okay? I've looked at videos, I've looked at champion release trailers, I've looked at play percentages and all of that stuff, and this is the best roster that I could think of. This is the best roster that I can come up with that kind of met all of the criteria. Champions that just aren't relevant anymore, champions that heavily were unfavored by the meta, or champions that came out and we just didn't know who they were. Some of these champions, I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't even seen in game yet. If you're somebody who started playing from Arcane, you probably don't know who half of these fucking characters are, and that's fine, because you gonna learn! You're gonna learn right now! Why is Akshan there? Why isn't Akshan there? Who's playing Akshan right now? He's one of the lowest pick rates. People gave up on Akshan. In fact, we'll start with Akshan. Akshan is a champion that, like, he was decent. The Akshan was very decent on release, and then they kind of nerfed the way that you can build Akshan. On top of that, it seems like he's not that favored in the current meta. He fell off pretty hard. A lot of people don't care about him because he was banned in pro play, and now he's not that popular of a champion. Is he in the who is that tier list? Or sorry, is he in the who is that tier? Of course not. I would say that Akshan, if I'm being 100% honest, I would say that Akshan is still a character that we see often. You're gonna see him, it's probably not gonna be every 10 games, but it's definitely gonna be like every 20. A lot of people just don't like playing Akshan. On top of that, right now, we're coming back into a meta in which casters are going to be a big freaking problem. And if casters aren't the problem, assassins are the freaking problem. And Akshan is somebody who gets absolutely bodied by both of them. So right now, is Akshan forgotten? No, he's still kind of popular, but he's very, very quickly on his way out. He's very, very quickly about to be sent all the way to Dota, because nobody's going to be playing this motherfucker all season. Akshan? Bada bing! See them often. Okay, now, let's be 100% honest. Illaoi, they dogged her. And what I mean by they dogged her is it's that Illaoi has not felt good in a very long time. I'm not saying that she's not strong, but I am saying that if Illaoi ults and you stay there to fight her, you're an idiot. Illaoi has never really felt too powerful in the game. Even when she came out at the apex of her strength where she was supposed to be OP, she wasn't even chosen in pro play, which is rare. Just about every single champion on this list has been chosen in pro play. But Illaoi has had like 5 games ever? Nobody has ever cared about Illaoi, and I feel like unless they change her, give her a bit of actual hard CC, or just give her an item that just makes her able to keep you somewhere, Illaoi's not gonna be that great. And let's be honest, when she came out, she's kind of fucking apparated. Like a goddamn Harry Potter spell, right? It looked like it looked like you were recording Summoner's Rift with a hand recorder, right? And then somebody cut the footage, and then they started recording again, and then Illaoi just happened to be in the picture. That's what Illaoi was. So I'll be honest, Illaoi is very much a 1 in 500 game champion. She was strong on release? No, you're getting it confused. She wasn't strong on release. People just didn't know how to play against her. That's the difference. She was stronger. Obviously, you gotta nerf people when they come out. She was stronger on release. Was she strong? No. Why? Because when was Illaoi released? Let's take a look. Here's Illaoi, and here are the champions before Illaoi, okay? Can escape Illaoi. Doesn't need to escape Illaoi. Tom Kench on release would just fucking eat that bitch. Can escape Illaoi. Can escape Illaoi. Can escape Illaoi. can escape Illaoi, can escape Illaoi, and keep Illaoi from doing anything. Can escape Illaoi, can escape Illaoi, can escape, that'll cause maybe. He could E and then walk away. Can escape Illaoi. It's just Illaoi was never great. When she was released, she was during the apex of like, wow, let's add dashes to every single character. She was not great, and there's a reason why pro play was like, oh, let's not play this bitch. Our first, who is that champion? She's definitely 1 in 500, especially once movement becomes, yeah, exactly. Now we have Gale Force. Oh, is there an Illaoi on your team? Build a dash. Oh, you don't want to build Gale Force? That's all right. You could just build a Prowler's Claw instead. Oh, you don't want to build Prowler's Claw? That's all right. Just build a Proto Belt instead. Oh, you don't want to build Proto Belt? That's all right. Just save your flash. Or use your E on half the roster. That'll get you safe from Illaoi. Kindred. You know what's weird about Kindred? I feel like when Kindred came out, it was one of the coolest champion releases ever. You would randomly get marked. I don't know if you guys remember, but when Kindred came out, you would randomly just get marked, and then you would hear her laugh, and it was before she was even released. So it was just like, wow, okay, well, that's weird. And then she comes out, and then everybody was enthralled by Kindred. Kindred was popular in pro play. She was chosen mid a couple times. I think she was chosen ADC once. She was a jungler for like an entire 2 seasons, right? And that was a very, very high, like she had like an apex at one point, right? Where she was very, very, very relevant in the meta. But then they slowly started not doing anything for her. And I'm not saying that she's not strong, because if you're very good at Kindred, then she's strong. You know, she's an ADC that does percentage health damage, that can keep people alive, that can turn around team fights and stuff. But with all of that utility, people don't fucking play Kindred. And I would say it's probably because Kindred is a very unique champion, and in all the time you could spend learning Kindred, you could spend 1/10 of the time learning Echo Jungle and be better. So why learn Kindred? It's one of those characters where it's like the skill ceiling is too high for how good the champion feels. People will go and learn Riven right now, even though the skill ceiling is really high on Riven, because you'll learn Riven and it would feel good to pop off on Riven. On Kindred, does it feel that good? You're an ADC, but you're also kind of a support, and you gotta gank the right people to get marks, and you need your team to help you out to get marks. Doesn't really feel good to learn it. I'm gonna be honest, Kindred goes on the top as well. I can't remember the last game I went against a Kindred. The only Kindred main on Earth is Forest Within, as we all know that. Shoutouts to Forest. Here's his Twitch stream on the video. Go watch him. But yeah, no, Kindred's just not popular. She's just not popular. But, as you guys know, every single tier list, we do have the patented fan vote. And we'll do that at the end this time, where we can choose to move one person elsewhere, as long as I also get the patented Scooch vote, where I get to override everything. Skarner. You know what's sad about Skarner? You want to know the saddest thing about Skarner? Every single time Skarner is good in the meta, it's because things are broken that are better on other champions. Ghost is powerful, well, it's better on Olaf. Predator's powerful, well, it's better on Hecarim. No matter what happens, whenever Skarner does manage to rear his head into relevancy, it's below the boot of other champions that do what he does in a much better way. And yeah, Skarner has a ton of catch potential and stuff, but especially in ranked, there's nothing Skarner can do if somebody just goes cleanse. Somebody goes cleanse, if somebody goes Mikhail's. If the support goes Mikhail's, Skarner is effectively useless. So Skarner, 100% I would say he's a forgotten champion. But the only reason I'm not going to put him in the who is that tier is because Captain Flowers would kill me. So we're going to put him down in the kind of know them tier. They're kind of, we kind of know who they are. Is this the Scooch pick? Where are you guys saying to put Skarner? All right, you know what? Enough people are complaining. I'll abide this once. We could put him in the who is that. All right, fine. Sorry, Clayton. If you watch this, I apologize. Hell, I'll even put Skarner above Illaoi, because there are people who just like to use Illaoi just for the team fights and stuff, but there's not a lot of people. I don't think there is a Skarner main on Earth besides Clayton right now. And actually, chat, you were right, and I apologize. I forgot the truth about Skarner. You're right. I forgot about it. I forgot his backstory. I know that his family's dead. I know that Jinx used one of his family to do things to her family. That's fucking rough. I'm sorry, guys. The thing that sucks the most about Skarner is that they fucked him in the lore, they fucked him in the game, but then they also did a very hilarious joke. And that hilarious joke that they did was they removed Dominion, which, if you guys don't remember, was called the Crystal Scar. That's right. Skarner's house used to be a playable game mode in League of Legends. And then they went, nah, this shit garbage. Even though there were thousands of people going, please don't remove Skarner's home. Including Skarner himself, Riot went, nah, shit's garbage. Let's get it the fuck out of here. And they not only killed his family in the lore, they killed it in the game as well. My poor little boy. My poor little angel boy. I love you, Skarner. I love you. No matter how much you sound like Optimus Prime from the Transformer movie. I love you, Skarner. Now, this next one, it's along the same vein as Kindred, but I don't think they're in as bad a spot. Ivern goes in the kind of know them tier list. And it's because a lot of people don't ever want to play him, but occasionally, and this is a fucking weird one, okay? A lot of people don't play Ivern, but the people who do play Ivern play a fuck ton of Ivern. You guys ever see that meme where it's like, no, just so you know, human beings don't swallow one spider every night. That is not a real statistic. Spiders, Jonathan, the guy who eats 5,000 spiders a day, is an outlier, and we should not use him to factor in that statistic. That is Ivern mains. The people who play Ivern play more than enough Ivern to make up for the gaps of the people who don't play Ivern. Yeah, maybe there's only one person per every 100,000 playing Ivern, but that motherfucker's playing 1,000 Ivern games a season. He's crushing it. He's crushing it out there. And another weird thing about Ivern, it's just people are like addicted to that guy. They just want to keep playing Ivern. I don't know why. And honestly, fuck Ivern. I think he's my least favorite champion to play. You know what? I'll do 1 in 100 just because the people who play Ivern, they're really dedicated to their craft. What do you mean Nikki's crying? I didn't put him in the who is that tier. Nikki would be happy, if anything. Now look, Kalista, what sucks about Kalista is when she was good, she was way too good. But then she wasn't good, and then she was worse. And now Kalista, a champion who literally has 2 abilities, not one, has 2 abilities that need another person to be with her at all times, is played top lane. The most recent like spike in Kalista play was people playing her top. Or maybe there was a spike after that I don't remember, but there was a very, 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 very tiny spike of Kalista play where people were choosing Kalista just to go in the top lane because you can kite people down, blow people apart, etc., etc., etc. So for a champion to be so gosh darn bad that Riot Games went, yeah, we're not going to do anything about her. If you want to make her work, only use 2 abilities, then that must mean that they're pretty fucking forgotten. Another big thing about that, right, is that I think the last game I saw a Kalista, I was Kalista. So that's even worse. Because I do not play Kalista. I will put Kalista above these 2. And the only reason I'm not putting Kalista above Skarner is because, again, they destroyed his home twice. Lillia! Now, Lillia's a weird one because they're trying their absolute best to bring her back. They buffed her. They made her stronger. She was really prevalent. In pro play. But for some reason, people still don't really want to pick her up. I would say that I see her at most like every 50 games. So I wouldn't say that it's like every 10, but I definitely see her closer to 10 than I do to 100. Definitely not a still pretty poppin'. I don't know if you guys are on crack or if I'm on crack, but she is definitely not a still pretty poppin'. Go look at her play rate right now and come back. You want to know why her play rate sucks? It's the exact same reason why Lillia was chosen a lot in pro play and then people stopped caring about her. Because Lillia has this hilarious ultimate move where if your teammates are fucking stupid, it's not a good move. There is nothing, and I promise you this, there is nothing that hurts more as a Lillia player than putting somebody asleep like an ADC. You start charging your stupid little wiki blast, you start charging your goddamn stick bonk of death. You're about to bonk this man's head straight into fucking China. You're gonna send him right to the other side of the planet, and right before you do, a dumbass fucking misfortune or other stupid ADC, or it's just a stray fucking laser from Victor or some shit, wakes them up and they flash out of your bonk. That happens all the time. It happens so goddamn frequently that playing her, especially in solo queue, hurts. Because 9 times out of 10, especially in our elo, right? Because I'm not talking about Challenger. I don't think the majority of this chat is playing on TSM. We all seem more like Team Liquid guys ourselves because we're all so good. But in most elos, people don't play around the sleep well. And if people don't play around the sleep well, it's not good. So I would say she is closer to 10 than she is to 100. And I would say that she is better than Akshan. So she goes here because this is closer to that. Swain, you know what's crazy? Swain was pretty big on release, but then he kind of fell off because he could only be played support. But he's a really good support. So I would say that Swain is our first still pretty poppin'. He's very strong, and it feels like he's going to be getting only stronger in this season. So I think Swain is our first still pretty poppin'. I fucking hate Swain support though, because I go in, right, as a fucking Shaco. He ults. Who cares? You're invisible? Who cares? Your dumbass is within Swain's personal space. Why did you disrespect his personal space, you dumb bitch? I don't care that you're invisible, you silly clown. He will suck the life right out of you. And then he'll shine his mastery, and then you'll see that as a support, he could still one-shot whoever the fuck he wants because he's Swain. Anivia, you know what's crazy about Anivia? I'm gonna put her next to Ivern in the kind of know them tier, specifically for the exact same reason. I don't get it. These two characters, when people are obsessed with Ivern or Anivia, they just play them. They just play them. They just play it. They just play it. That's all they play. 1,000 games on Anivia this season. 1,000 games on Anivia next season. 1,000 games on... Like, I've seen Anivia mains go ADC. I've seen Anivia mains go top. I've seen Anivia mains go fucking support. I've seen Anivia mains go mid. They just like the champion. Again, it's an outlier, but the Anivia and Ivern mains play the champion so dang much that we see them often. They are carrying, and to that, I salute them. Maokai is on the still pretty poppin'. But there was a point where Maokai was genuinely the terror of the Rift. Before he got his slight rework, he was the terror of the Rift. He got like a slight rework. His ultimate used to be damage reduction, but he used to place it somewhere. But then what ended up happening was they made it, instead of him placing it, it sticks to his body. So he just had damage reduction around his body, and then it exploded at the end of it. And when that happened, Maokai was just an absolute monster. He was just an absolute monster. He was so prevalent just about everywhere that you could not escape Maokai. But now he's very obviously a shell of his former glory. He has his saplings, and he has that item. What's the item that Ashe goes with the fucking little symbol on the top? It's the item that Ashe goes, and it's annoying. And it's like when you slow somebody. Imperial Mandate. There you go. Yeah. So like now Maokai's entire like glory is the Imperial Mandate. But besides the mandate, it's like he's okay. Something that Maokai has going for him that I don't think any other champion on this list has is that Maokai is incredibly, and I mean incredibly, fucking easy to play. If you W on Maokai, you stun. I'm gonna say that again. If you W on Maokai, you stun. If you press the W key on an enemy, you stun them. That's it. If you W, you stun. And then here's what's better. When you stun them, you could press Q. And then when you press Q, you knock them up. And guess what? If you W, then Q, you stun, then knock up. If you W, and then you Q, you stun, and then you knock up. So, Maokai is a pretty easy champion. And that is why I would say that Maokai is... I would say he's closer to 100 than he is to 10. But he's at the bottom of 100. Kled, God, I don't even know how to feel about Kled. Because Kled was good with Gore Drinker. Kled was good last season, before the item changes. Kled, he just has the same thing as like the Maokai and Anivia people, where he's kind of carried by mains. But I feel like there's a lot less Kled mains these days than there is anyone else. And did he get a system rework? Did he actually get a system rework? Because that's true, then this motherfucker goes and still pretty poppin'. Dude, they're buffing the shit out of this guy. I'm a Kled main? I think I'm a Kled main now? So because of that, Kled goes into still pretty poppin'. And I know it's preemptive. He goes into still pretty poppin' because he's about to be played a lot more. People are going to play the shit out of Kled right now. Now, Heimerdinger. You know what's weird about Heimerdinger? It's that Heimerdinger is a very, very, very deeply complicated champion. To play him correctly, you have to know about turret placements, you gotta know his combos, you gotta know all that stuff, right? But Heimerdinger is also very, 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 very consistent. And what I mean by that is that he's consistent in a sense that he can always do damage. There was a point in time, and it was forever ago, so don't quote me on this, where the two highest damage-dealing champions in the game were Teemo and Heimerdinger. On average, if you looked at every single game in League of Legends, the two people who dealt the most damage was Teemo, because his shrooms were just a fucking monster. They were just fucking ridiculous. And Heimer, because when his turrets are out, it doesn't matter what he's doing. His turrets were out. That's just it. But then, honestly, he fell off. I guess the Liandry's didn't work well on him. He's too easy to burst down. Duskblade and all that jazz. It just makes him not worth playing in the current meta. But Heimer was pretty fucking strong. He was pretty strong. But that was so long ago. Again, I don't think that I have seen Heimerdinger this season. So he is unfortunately one of the neglected children. In fact, I would say he's more neglected than Kalista. Heimerdinger just very, very much not worth playing. He's not great. The current meta doesn't favor him. And he's just not worth it. He's kind of forgotten. All right, Kog'Maw, my poor little boy, my poor little tiny poor little boy. I'm not gonna say 1 in 500, but he definitely goes on the top of this list. Kog'Maw is played less because Kog'Maw's not good. You think right now in the current meta you're gonna be able to stand there and auto attack? Why would you choose Kog'Maw? Okay. And I didn't want to get to her so soon. I really didn't want to get to her so soon, but let's be 100%. Let's keep it $150 with you, Chief. Rell has to be the worst champion release in history. Like ever. I cannot think of a single champion release worse than Rell. And it's because nobody wants to play her. She has a very, very unique playstyle, so she suffers from the same thing that Ivern does and the same thing that Illaoi does. And she's a fucking support. She's a support. She's a support. She's a fucking support. She's a support. So she is a very, very, very unique, hard to play playstyle on a role in which, why would you choose that? No, I don't mean like, obviously I hate Yuumi more than Rell. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying Yuumi came out and everybody played Yuumi. She was freelo. She was strong. She was the #1 picked support for a very long time. People love Yuumi. Rell came out, and my job is this. Can't tell you what Rell does. I can't tell you what the fuck she does. That is how bad her release was. Rell main here, 61% win rate. You're like Spider's George. So right now, Rell, unfortunately, becomes the 16-year-old queen of the summit. She was such a bad release. What would you change about her? Well, first off, give her more fucking versatility. Like, that whole auto attack shit feels like fucking poop. And she auto attacks slow forever. Like, they did everything they can to go, no, you're a support. You're a support. Stop trying to do anything else. You're a fucking support. That's what they did with Rell. You know what they can do for Rell? Honest to God, you know what they can do for Rell? Rework her, make her a top laner. Make her a transformation top laner. Make her able to build Sunderer. Make her able to stun people. If she's not rooted to somebody for that stun, it should do like a Taric thing where it comes down and then it stuns whoever's around her. You know what I mean? Like, they should allow that character. Like, come on. Think about the fucking champion. She has a horse made out of armor that she turns into a suit of armor. And you're gonna make her a fucking support? A support? You know what's crazy about Taric? What is up with that guy? Taric, like, yes, you said it right, Supersonic. Like, Taric was the funnel champion. That's his whole thing. Taric has always been the funnel champ. That's it. You funnel. And then once funneling died, where the fuck is Taric? And what's crazy is, like, Taric's good. It's not that, I think the problem with Taric is it's not that he's hard to play, it's that it's hard to play with him. Because you need to be in the same brain to synergize with that guy. You need to be literally in the same brain. But anyways, Taric, definitely like a 1 in 500 now. He is less seen than Kindred. He's less seen than Illaoi for sure. He's not less seen than Heimerdinger. Yorick, I don't really think I gotta talk about Yorick that much. I really don't gotta talk about Yorick that much. We're gonna put Yorick right next to Ivern. Same guys. They're just fucking, I don't know. Same guys, dude. All right, Cassiopeia. You know what's weird about Cassio? And here's the weirdest thing about Cassio. Cassio is not hard. You land your Q, You land your Q, But Cassiopeia goes in the 1 in 500. And the point that I was trying to make is that Cassio is very strong. She's a very, very strong pick. She comes with her own utility. It's annoying that she doesn't get to build boots. That's something that's pretty annoying. But besides that, it's like Cassio, she's way better than people give her credit for. And she's not that hard to learn. People just don't want to learn her. I guess her playstyle just isn't fun enough for most people. And that makes sense. But people just don't want to learn Cass. Taliyah goes right next to Rell when it comes to the release. But what's even crazier about Taliyah is that she is insane sometimes, but people will never pick her up. People do not pick up Taliyah. They just don't want to play Taliyah. They just really don't want to play Taliyah. Even when she was at her strongest, people didn't want to play the fucking champion. Her play rate didn't spike at all or anything. And I guess it goes for the same thing as like Lillia, right? Where it's like her ultimate doesn't feel good. You need to have a lot of synergy. Playing her in solo queue's bad, etc., etc. But it's like people just don't like to play fucking Taliyah. It didn't spike until she was a jungler. Yeah. I mean, she was a mid laner for a little bit, right? But it just wasn't good enough. And then they did that weird damage thing in the jungle camps, and she became by far the fastest clearing jungler. And that's when she spiked. But it's so weird because that accidentally made her into a monster, and I don't think they meant for that to happen. And then they kept it. Azir, my poor little boy. Azir is a victim of being too good at one point, but they nerfed the shit out of him. They took away his knock-up on his E. I think he still gets a shield, but that's it. You can now flash or jump over his wall. You could do anything you want to Azir, and he can't really do anything except for caw and look at you. Maybe flap a feather or two. Doesn't really matter. It's not that they hate Azir. It's just that Azir literally reigns supreme, right? He deserves to get bad. A lot of people have PTSD with Azir. I agree with you, Fostra. 100% agree with you, Fostra. And that's why it's like forgotten. For the sake of this tier list, I'm going to put him in the 1 in 500 because if anything, Azir should be higher on the list because he was the epitome of god tier mid laner. In fact, you guys know my first ever video that did well in the history of my life was Sated Azir. So I owe a lot to him, and he was a very, very popular pick for a very long time. But Jesus Christ, is he forgotten now? He goes on the top, and in fact, I'll even put him above Kalista because he fell from grace. All right, Yuumi still popping. I don't even want to talk about that bitch. Still popping. Above Swain. People still play Yuumi. People will play Yuumi forever. Aurelion Sol. You want to know something? You want to know the saddest thing about Aurelion Sol? Like, honest to God. The saddest thing about Aurelion Sol is that Aurelion Sol never had his moment. Aurelion Sol came out. He was super duper weird. People didn't want to learn him. Even though he was very, very powerful, hell, Aurelion Sol, shout outs to him. He's the reason that NA ever got good anywhere at all. You know, like Aurelion Sol almost carried CLG to victory at a mid-season invitational at one point. You know, so any NA fan owes a lot to Aurelion Sol. The thing that sucks about Aurelion Sol is that when people play him, for some reason, they do really, really well on him. The two people on Earth that play Aurelion Sol, Sol Johnson and Sol Steven, right? They both live in the Midwest. They're dating. The two people who play Aurelion Sol play him so well that the only time that Riot remembers Aurelion Sol is to nerf him, which is almost sadder than everything else because they literally go, oh shit, who the fuck is that? Yeah, no, nerf him. Oh, it's crazy. I don't even really work at the balance team. I actually do the merch stuff and I help ship stuff out. But somebody emailed me about their jacket being a size too small, and then they made a crack about how it'll get there fast like Aurelion Sol. And I guess that means Aurelion Sol is fast. So can you just tell the balance team to nerf him? It's like, it's almost as if like nerfing Aurelion Sol is a button at Riot HQ. And anyone can just go and press it. It's just like the janitor doesn't like dragons. There's the button. It's right on the wall. Poor our soulmates, honestly. Top of the list. Seraphine, she goes in the see them often every 10 games or so. I feel like Seraphine is seen a lot less often now, but it's definitely closer to 10 than it is to 100. The only reason I want to put Seraphine in Still Pretty Poppin' is because didn't they just tweet or some shit from her? On top of that, they gave her a skin. On top of that, it's like they did so much. They've done so much shit for Seraphine that like even now, even though it's been a whole fucking year, I feel like residually we can't forget her. So I think I'll drag her into Still Pretty Poppin' right under Yuumi. There's really nothing you could do about it. She burrowed herself into our brain like a leech. Or like Yuumi. Again, wow, a lot of similarities. Gwen, they nerfed her. And then they nerfed her, and then they nerfed her. And it's like, she was in the Sentinels event, but it's like, Gwen, it feels like she didn't do much. You know what I mean? I feel like now, right now, she's at the 1 in 100. She's like, one nerf, they nerfed her into the fucking ground. But since she has some like relevancy still, I'll put her below Maokai so that she's closer to this list. But Gwen, she just like, poor lady. She came out, she was strong, she was pretty powerful, and then no. Another very shitty thing about Gwen, and another reason why I think that she was like she just kind of got taken out back like old Yeller and fucking snipped in half is the fact that she, like, her itemization feels bad. If they made Gwen an AD character, she would be godlike. She would be so powerful if she was AD. But then they made her an AP character, but if she could build like Fiora, she'd be good. You get what I'm saying? Like, if they just made her an AD bruiser, she would be Fiora levels of good. But AP bruisers, it's like, oh, I built a Riftmaker, and then I built a Nashor's Tooth. Like, where's the Sterix gauge? Where's the Divine Sunderer? What tank stats do you have that can keep you alive? Anyways, Ornn, 1 in 100, 1 in 100. He goes above Gwen because of relevancy's sake. Gwen is kind of new and people don't care about her. He is more relevant than Gwen, but it's like Ornn, people just like, one day everybody woke up and they like, all Ornn mains, it feels like every Ornn main on earth, like they all woke up, they snapped out of bed, they looked at each other and they went, this guy's pretty fucking boring, huh? And they all went, yeah, let's go play Singed. It feels like that's what they did. It literally feels like all Ornn mains just like one day woke up and they're like, are we done with this? And don't get me wrong, he was very, very, very strong for a while. But now it's like Ornn, it's like people don't really give a shit about him. New meta Ornn slaps now. Yeah, I mean, I hope so. That's fucking good for him. He deserves it. But for right now, we're not doing it preemptively. Kind of know him 1 in every 100. You know what I mean? Ornn's kind of a nut. Now, Neeko, you know what's crazy is that Neeko has kind of had like a resurgence. Neeko has kind of had a resurgence. She's a pretty good support. If you can pull off her combo pretty good, she's good. She's good. She's a pretty powerful freaking character. And I feel like she's become a lot stronger recently, which is why I can't necessarily say she was forgotten. But I do want to take a moment to say that Neeko's release was probably top 3 worst releases ever. Because I don't know if you guys remember, she was so bad on release that the only redeeming quality she had was that for some reason, the passive damage on her auto attacks was like insane. So people built AD top laner Neeko. So now Neeko is getting better. She's finding her way into the game. I would say she is see them every 10 games. I see Neeko more than I see Lillia. I see Neeko more than I see Akshan. Vex popping. She's on here because relevancy. She's new. I would say Vex is below Yuumi, but popping. But the craziest thing about Vex is that they did the same thing with Vex that they did with Seraphine last season. The champion came out and then people went, this character kind of sucks. I can't really figure out this character. She feels bad. And then new items came out and it was like, oh, holy fuck. She's actually very good. She just came out before her items did. That's the same thing that happened with Seraphine. Seraphine came out before her new items, felt kind of like dog shit. And then the new items came out and I was like, oh, fuck, Seraphine's a beast. Vex came out before the new items, kind of dog shit. And then the new items came out, I was like, oh, fuck, this character's actually pretty good. Udyr? Oh, poor guy. Poor guy. I want to put Udyr next to Azir specifically because it's the same fall from grace. There was a point, though a lot shorter than Azir's, of course. There was a point in time where Udyr reigned supreme. And when he reigned supreme, it was literally every single game. And then they nerfed the fucking breaks off of him. And now if you play Udyr, you're inting. So Udyr goes right next to Azir. And he goes above Azir because Azir had grace for a lot longer than Udyr did. And now finally, the final one is Wukong. Dude, you know what's crazy about Wukong? Is he's just bad. Like, he's just bad. That's what they did with Wukong, because he's easy. Wukong is an easy champion to play. If you E, you hit them. If you Q, you hit them. If you W, you hit them twice. You get an invisibility. You get an AoE knockup. But he's so bad in the game. He's so bad that he's not worth playing. Like, his ratios aren't good. He doesn't deal a lot of damage. He's not great compared to most top laners. He loses most trades. He's an insane mana abuser. So he runs out of mana super duper quickly. Like, he just doesn't have anything. And that's what sucks, because normally when a champion is easy, you could look up, right? And you could see that most of the champions on this list, except for the ones that are here for relevancy's sake, aka Vex, Yuumi, and all that, most of the champions here are a little bit complicated in practice, right? Like, most of them are. But then there's Wukong, who's one of the easiest champions in the game. He's just bad. So Wukong, definitely on the who is that tier. And I'll put him above everyone except for Cass. I'll put him below Cassio, actually. Boom. That's where Wukong goes. Well, there you have it, everyone. We've done it. We've absolutely done it, chat. There it is. We've done it, gamers. That is the official League of Legends Forgotten Champion tier list. Time to forget the tier list, exactly. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked what you saw, hit a like and subscribe to the channel. And tell you what, I'll even give you a reminder to hit a like and subscribe to the channel again. Please do so because it helps me. On top of that, why not? It's the season of giving, so why not give me a like? Why not give me a subscribe whilst I continue to give out the content? I love you to death if you sub. I love you to death if you don't. But I will see you tomorrow in the next video. Adios.